Okay, it's 6 o'clock. So, okay, well, good evening, folks. This is Dave Schmidt. I'm your host here again tonight on the Sedona Connection. It's 6 p.m. at my home here in Sedona, Arizona, and that means it's 9 p.m. on the East Coast. And we want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. So, there's more and more people that are coming on the free conference call. It's a little different than having what Blog Talk Radio used to be. I can actually see the names of the people who are actually calling in on the phone and if I don't get the names, I get basically where they're calling from. So it's a little different there. So thank you everybody for joining us tonight. I've got some really good information I'm going to share with you tonight about some information that had come off the recent post of Ben Fulford. Now, before I start getting into the program, though, I want to remind everybody that I'm now back to starting the workshops again. And on April 12th, 2 weeks from Saturday, I've got a workshop here in Sedona, and we would love to have you here. For the people that have been here in Sedona, you'll begin to experience and see why this is such an absolutely wonderful and what I call a magical place. And if you haven't been here, this is a good opportunity for you to come and visit. What is so unique about Sedona, it's the energy that is here. It's the natural earthbound based energy that is much higher and stronger, and everything vibrates here slightly higher, and that's what is why Sedona has always been for many called this wonderful, just magical place. To some is a little bit mysterious, but to the ancient Native Americans, this was always the most sacred place in all of North America. And again, it was because of the uniqueness of the energy vibration that is here. And it only happens in about a 12-mile radius around all these big, beautiful red rocks. Because see, if you've seen pictures of Sedona, what we have are these huge red rocks. And what's inside of these red rocks? Well, iron and copper. Those are energy conductors. And then what we have also found out is that underground here are massive concentrations of quartz crystals, energy conductors. So when you bring those two together in a small, like a 12-mile radius, that means everything here vibrates slightly higher. All the vibrations of the earth and the wonder and everything that is here. And we've got what these call these energy vortexes that are around here that people come here and they experience. Now, if you're coming here for the workshop and it's your first time here in Sedona, you're going to notice something that's slightly different. Now, I don't always experience it because I'm acclimated. I live here. But I have people that come here from the outside and they say that they experience this really slight, pleasant kind of buzzing in their body all day long when they're here. And it's because of the natural energy that is here. And that's what makes Sedona so unique. And so we would love to have you here at the workshop on April 12th, which is 2 weeks from Saturday. All you need to do is send me an email or go to my website, and then you can register there because all the registration information is there. And also, folks, I have always said when it comes time for us to be paid and for the currency exchange, I start with the people who have attended the most recent workshop and then I work back from there. So if you want to put yourself at the front of the list, this is a good opportunity for you to be there, okay? So now, what's happening? What's going on out there in the currency exchange world? Let me just say there are lots and lots and lots and lots of rumors that are going on. I'm getting some of you sending me emails and saying, this is happening, I'm hearing this is happening, and this is happening there in Reno. Folks, nothing is happening. There are people out there that spread all kinds of rumors and they can never back it up with actual facts. And fortunately, I'm in a position where I get the facts. If there's something going on in Reno, I've got first-hand contact and information with the people who are deeply involved in the currency exchange process there, and they would let me know, okay? And if things are starting out of the Texas processing office, I would also have that. So I've got a lot of first-hand information, but so far, folks, it's a lot of just rumors. But I have said, now this came to me second-hand source, and I don't know how accurate this is. I can't verify this in its accuracy. But what I was told is that President Trump During his 2 terms, he visited the Texas processing office. He's clearly aware of what is going on here in the currency exchange. And the Texas processing office, for the funds to be released, they are waiting for the release to come from 2 sources. One are the people who are really in control, and then they have to communicate with U.S. Treasury. Because you see, we have white hats in U.S. Treasury and the CIA that oversee the Texas processing office. They don't run it, they don't control it, they're not involved with it, but they oversee it, and they are the ones that will give the final word for when funds will be released, that it's okay to do it. Now, why is this? Because Treasury can control how much money is being released into the economy of our country and ultimately our world. So they have to make sure that there isn't too much money being released too fast, or it could create some absolute economic chaos and havoc. So in essence, it comes down to we're waiting for the word from Treasury. And what I was told is we were waiting for Trump to be reelected, and then he appointed a new Secretary of the U.S. Treasury. So that's where we're at for right now, okay, with that situation that is there. Now, I'm going to share, I've told you that I subscribe to what I call really good, what I call intelligence information from a guy that is by the name of Ben Fulford. And he shares really good, what I would call shadow world information. Now, what do I mean by that? We live in a world of what I call 2 worlds. We live in the conventional world. This is the world of the information that comes to us through the media, through open conventional sources, what we're taught in our schools, everything that's out there in the open and in the public. That's the normal conventional world. And then there's the shadow world. And that's the stuff that goes on in the shadows. It's not widely known to the public. It's not always that's out there for a whole lot of people to know and talk about. But it's the real private, quiet stuff that really runs and controls what really goes on in the shadow world. And when it comes to the area of finances, the organization or the people that really have strong, immense power and control over the global finances are the dragon families based out of Hong Kong in China. Now, I have been there 4 times to visit the dragon families. I've been to Hong Kong 4 times, and I've met with them. Now, I haven't communicated with them for a while because I've kind of kept a lot of this kind of low-key, but I communicated with a man called the Red Dragon. Now, he's not at the very top of the dragon families. There is a council of elders that are at the very top, but the Red Dragon has the ability at any time to request a meeting with the council. And that's how strong this guy is. Now, I'm going to read to you what came out of Ben Fulford, because see, Ben Fulford really has great details and context of what goes on in what I just referred to as the shadow world. And when I saw this come out 2 days ago, it absolutely shocked me. And let me read to you from his report from 2 days ago. The Dragon family makes Trump an offer he would be wise not to refuse. That's the title. Let me read to you the first couple of paragraphs. Events that were supposed to take place in 2012, i.e. the start of the new golden age, which I talked about last week, look like they are finally about to begin. This opportunity comes because the Dragon family is offering virtually unlimited funding to U.S. President Donald Trump. As background, the former head of M16 asked a direct descendant of the last emperor of China for an introduction to the Dragon family back in the early 2000s. He was told that if you want to talk to China, the Dragon family is as high as it gets. The Dragon family is composed of all of the Chinese and Asian royal families, including the Tang, the Song, the Ming, and the Qing. It is above the Chinese Communist Party and the government of Taiwan. The original introduction was followed by an agreement between the Western White Dragon and the Asian Golden Dragon to finance a new age of abundance starting in 2012. Unfortunately for all of us, the Khazarian Mafia managed to delay things by 13 years. The start of the delay came with what is known as the Chiazo Incident. In June 2009, two Japanese nationals with diplomatic passports, and that gives their names, were stopped by Italian police at the Swiss border and had $134 billion worth of Dragon family Kennedy bonds confiscated. What happened then is that Neil Keenan, the head of the CIA for Europe, handed the bonds to P2 Freemason banker Daniel Del Bosco, and Del Bosco took them to the Chinese Communist Party, the U.S. Senate Finance Committee, and elsewhere until Ban Ki-moon, the Secretary General of the UN, offered Del Bosco $100 million to go away. Neil Keenan subsequently tried to both cash the bonds and access Dragon family gold bunkers until he was killed in 2016 and replaced with a body double working for the Rothschild family. The reason we are bringing this up now is because the people who assumed his identity now claim Keenan has died, and what this means is the Rothschilds have formally given up and trying to use the fake Keenan as a way to access Dragon family treasures. Here's what's interesting. It was about 8 and 9 years ago, I was communicating with Neil Keenan, and we were going back and forth about the Dragon families and who was real and who wasn't and everything that was going on. And I even had people that were posting cartoons about out there with Keenan and I and some of the others, the man that we called, the ambassador to the Red Dragon and the Dragon family. And so I was aware with Keenan. I was communicating with Keenan. But when he said he was in access to the Dragon families, he wasn't in access to the top of the family who had the ability to get stuff done. But here's what's interesting. Keenan has always been a person that's been involved in this. And with all of this happening, it's like what Ben Fulford just said. It's time. Now let me go back and read this other paragraph I read again. It says the original introduction was followed by an agreement between the Western White Dragons and the Asian Golden Dragons to finance a new age of abundance starting in 2012. And unfortunately for all of us, the Khazarian Mafia managed to delay things. What is he saying? It's time for the new age, the age of abundance, to start. Now, I can't say this is absolutely certain, but there's a part of me that has a strong belief that if the Dragon families, now later in this article, let me take a step back. Later in this article, Ben Fulford says the Dragon families are willing to offer $50 trillion to Trump. For what purpose? To shut down the Khazarian Mafia cabal-controlled finance system of our Western world, those that run the Federal Reserve's banking system. Because remember, the Federal Reserve is a private corporation that is, i.e., run by the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. And this money is designed to neuter them and to take away their power and control and allow this new, what I call asset-backed money to come into place. And the other thing that Fulford talks about is we have to realize the United States is so far in debt, it's basically bankrupt. And this is designed to release all of that. $50 trillion, folks. Now, what I think is there's a very, very high probability is when that money gets released to Trump, we are very likely to see our funds of the exchange released simultaneously or shortly after that. Because if he's releasing all of that money into the U.S. economy, it would be easy then for us to start receiving our funds because we wouldn't be at the head of the news. We would just fit into all this money being released and starting to come out. So, folks, there is a probability. Now, again, this is speculation on my part. There's a probability we could be very, very close to seeing things being released. Now, my brokers, who I communicate with on a regular basis, have also speculated that we are possibly very close to seeing the funds released. And folks, remember, this isn't about you and me. This is not about you and I, becoming super wealthy and all this stuff. This is about money being released. That is what Ben Fulford has said, is the ability to bring forth the new age, the golden age for humanity. And it's ironic is that when President Trump gave his recent, they didn't call it the State of Union address, but that's basically what it was about 2 to 3 years ago, he talked about the coming of the golden age. This is the time. This is the time for the coming of the golden age. Now, these funds being released are done for a purpose. You see, the Dragon families going all the way back to right after World War II were wanting to start to release these funds because this massive wealth that they have, they acknowledge it doesn't belong to them. It belongs to humanity, and they are just guardians and caretakers of it to be released at the right appropriate time. And this is the right appropriate time for those funds to be released. And they've been holding back for, as I said, the right time on all this to happen. So with all this wealth that they had, I said they wanted to do it originally right after World War II, but they realized the banks were too corrupt at the top and the countries were too corrupt at the top, and this money would never really filter down to the common everyday people like you and me. Then the second time they wanted to do this was with President Kennedy and President Sukarno of Indonesia in 1963. President Sukarno is a member of the back then he was a member of the Dragon family. And supposedly he had in 1963 about $1 trillion that was going to be released. And they had signed what was called this Green Hilton Memorial Agreement. When you come to the workshops, I'll show you that agreement that was signed by both Kennedy and Sukarno. And what happened is, if we go back and we know our history, President Kennedy said he was going to totally get rid of the Federal Reserve because he knew it was the corrupt vehicle for the cabal. And he was going to totally restructure the CIA because it was the other vehicle for the cabal. And if that Green Hilton Memorial Fund money from Sukarno would have been released, Kennedy would have been able to do both of those. Personally, I think that's the real reason why Kennedy was assassinated. And as President Trump is now releasing all these JFK files, we're truly beginning to see the CIA was behind Kennedy's assassination. So when that happened, the Dragon families realized, well, that wasn't going to work either. So they realized, how can we get these trillions of dollars out to the global economy to help shift and change the power structure of the cabal-based Khazarian mafia? And that's when they realized what the cabal can't stop is scores of thousands of people being turned into overnight millionaires and told, go spend it. So when you've got 60, 80,000 people all becoming overnight millionaires and told to go out and spend all this money, you are going to shift and change the power and control structure of the global economy. And it's basically, the Dragon family is saying, Khazarian Mafia, you can't stop this. And we're going to bring about this golden age. It's our responsibility and it's our job to do that. So That's the issue, I think, of why all this is happening and everything that is going on here and this situation that is developing with the release of the funds. And with this Ben Fulford report that the Dragon families are ready to give $50 trillion to Trump to start the process, I think it's very close for us. Now, let me give you a little bit also the background and history. When I first started doing my radio programs back in 12 years ago in 2013, back then there was all this talk on dinar recaps that was going on about, the value of the dinar and everything. And then they just kept saying it was going up and up and up and all the value of it and everything. Until the next thing you know, it was going to be like $35 a dinar. And I thought, this is absolutely crazy. And so Dinar Recaps was the blog site, the website that was reporting all this. And I would politely write in and I would say, who has the trillions of dollars to pay for this kind of a situation? And I said, the only place that I am aware of that has this kind of money is the Dragon family that's based out of Hong Kong, because I was familiar with them reading some of the stuff that Neil Keenan was reporting. And so I started mentioning that and talking about them on my radio program. And it was about 6 months later, I get this email and it says, we hear that you're talking about the Dragon family on your radio program. And there's a gentleman that's called the ambassador to the Red Dragon of the Dragon family, and he would like to talk with you. I thought, oh my gosh. So the next thing you know, the ambassador and I started talking to each other on Skype back and forth. And over about 6 months, he totally gave me all the history, the background, and everything about the Dragon families, how they got their money, who they are. And then finally, it was in early 2014, I asked the ambassador, can I go and visit the Dragon families in Hong Kong? And they said, yes, you can. So I went there and I had this meeting with this gentleman called the Red Dragon. And he said something to me, and I had forgotten this until about a couple of years ago. He said, Dave, there's a reason why you're here. First of all, we probably know more about you than you know about you. We've done all of our history and background and research on you. And anybody who's involved with us with the Dragon families, we want to know and understand their family history and their genealogy. And he said to me, even though I am a Chinese, I am a direct descendant of King David out of the Bible. And he explained how that happened, because King Solomon was the son of King David, and he had all these wives. Well, he had married this one wife that was from Asia. And when King Solomon was getting ready to pass away, he passed on most of the gold of the Solomon's temple that King Solomon had to this lady from Asia, and she happened to be a part of the Dragon family clans. And that's part of how they got all this money that they have. And here's what the Red Dragon told me. We have always known and understood that these funds were to be released at the right time. But when that came, we would be able to start telling our story slowly and quietly and let it filtering out over a period of time. And you're the one that we want to start telling our story. And there's a reason why. And he says, we've done our research on you, and you and I are a part of the same family bloodline. Now, you're very, very distant, but you are a part of the Dragon family bloodline. And that's why you're the one that we're allowing to do this. Now, I don't want to sound egotistical when I say this, but the bottom line is, I don't know of anybody anywhere else that gets to talk about the Dragon families, bring people into the currency exchange and turn them into multimillionaires, and get to talk about it on an internet program, in my workshops, and in my newsletters like I do. The bottom line is, as I am told and as I am aware, there's nobody else in the world getting to do what I do. I'm the only one. And it's because I'm authorized by the source of the funds. Now, it's important to know that we're getting paid out of the Texas Processing Office. The Dragon families don't run and control that office. They were the originators of the funds for that office, but then they took their step back and they've allowed that to unfold on its own in the way that it has. They don't go in and run and control things, but they are the source of a lot of this funding and they oversee its process as what they do. So that's the scoop there, okay, of what I wanted to share with you tonight. And I wanted to talk about, why a lot of this stuff is going on, what is taking place here, and all the different stuff that's taking place, here, as I said, with this development and this, what I said is these comments that basically that came out from Ben Fulford saying that the Dragon families are ready to fund basically $50 trillion to President Trump for this step and process of basically bringing forth our golden age. And for those of us that are involved here in the currency exchange, we're the ones that will get to be a part of that process. So now, with that, I also want to remind you, there's still lots and lots of opportunity, folks, for you to purchase the dong from me. I only use the Vietnamese dong in this currency exchange. And you can purchase 5 million dong for $312. And when that pays out from the Texas Processing Office, it's going to pay you $1.50 per dong. So what that basically means is your $312 is going to turn into about $7.5 million. And we're told, go spend it, and go spend it. Now, we're going to get more instructions. There's going to be more specifics and all that kind of stuff is going to happen when it comes time for that. But that's pretty much of what's happening there tonight, okay? So now, I don't know if you want to call in with some, comments or questions. I'm not sure how I do this on free conference call. I think what you need to do is that you need to basically kind of click on your name and it comes up and then I can click on you and I think that allows you to basically to come in so that I can talk to you, okay? I'm looking through some of these names and if I'm seeing that there's anybody that I recognize right off that would like to talk, okay? Or if you have a question or a comment that you would like to share, because I'm noticing right now it says that there's 33 attendees on the free conference call, but I don't get to see everybody that's there, okay? And I never really figured out how to bring you on if you wanted to be a part of coming on and being willing to do this. Susan Simpson, you're asking, are you ever coming to the Southeast? I was just there in Fort Lauderdale about 4 to 6 months ago, okay? And yes, I'll be back there again, but okay. Okay, Susan, you want to know how you will be notified? It's going to start because you're on my newsletter list. You're on the list of people who basically have purchased, the currency from me. I contact the people who are on the currency purchase list. And that's basically how you're going to get notified. And then we'll go from there about some of the best ways to do that. So let me see here. Well, I don't know. I'm not seeing anybody that's wanting to basically come in for some questions or comments. So, but I'm going to go back to that Fulford newsletter again. And I'm going to read it because this is such good news. It says, the Dragon family makes Trump an offer he would be wise not to refuse. And it says the events that were supposed to take place in 2012, i.e. the start of the new golden age, look like they are finally about to happen because this opportunity comes because the Dragon family is offering virtually unlimited funding to U.S. President Donald Trump. Okay, so that's the good news for us, folks. I want to thank you now for joining me here tonight. And remember, what I do after the program is over, I basically edit this video and then I send it out to everybody that's on my newsletter list tomorrow. So, all right? Okay. Thanks a lot, folks. Have a wonderful evening. Okay. Bye bye.